Today we're doing an exclusive drive of the all-new Porsche Cayenne as the first driving the Porsche Cayenne Turbo Electric, which is probably the most extreme form ever of driving an SUV. Launch control. Oh. Yeah, you've already seen it in this episode. Leah's soul leaves her body. And which feature of this vehicle is making Leah cry? And we will show you both the turbo and the base version because I did a survey before driving this one here and you were kind of undecided. Some want to see the turbo, some the base version. So yeah, we'll just do both for you. And starting here with the turbo version. The design difference is, by the way, here in the front. So here, this is more extreme in the design basically, and if you compare it to the base version, it's a little bit more subtle. We will also tell you in this review what happens to the combustion engine model and also how this one here, the electric one, drives in comparison to the combustion engine model. And you can see here, this is the uni-white color, so the base white color, more more obvious than with the black contrast than especially for the turbo version. These matrix LED, by the way, optional HD matrix LED, and in this case then is standard for the turbo version. Here, since we don't have an engine under the hood, we can also open the frunk, and that's so easily done here just with pressing the frunk. That makes Leah smile, I see. It's a great feature. It's a great feature, and it's also, I mean, it's not too long, but actually quite wide. So it not only features the charging cable, you can also put more things in it. And yeah, you don't need an actual additional release for that or something. That's of course pretty handy that you can just so easily open that when you approach the vehicle. And yeah, you could also open it from the inside. That would also be possible. And the acceleration you've just seen is 2.5 seconds, 0 to 100 kilometers an hour or 62 miles an hour. And 7.4 seconds is the acceleration figure to 200 kilometers an hour or 125 miles an hour. Leah just shakes her head, and that's true. Actually, you should make background checks probably before handing over this vehicle to be really sure you can handle it, because I can already tell you so far, especially here in the turbo version, is actually too much for the human body. It's so extremely crazy, and we'll find out more about that in the driving part later on. The length is 4.99 meters or 196 inches. The wheelbase is especially longer than in the combustion engine version, and we also had a separate video on the combustion engine version. And this video will concentrate on the all-new version, of course. The electric one is there, and there's still the combustion engine one, and they will run parallel. And as I said, you can also check out the comparison video. And if you're interested in a used Porsche Cayenne, by the way, you can also check out our partner at carVertical. We have also a 20% discount code called Autogefühl for this service. And there you can, when you're buying used cars, you can do basically a background check for the used vehicles, see if there are any corrections on the mileage, if there were any accidents. We also have an example report here from an older used Porsche Cayenne. That one, for example, had an accident, and you can sometimes even see the photos of this accident, see the total cost of repairs. It's basically like you are maybe a dealer and get extensive information on the background of the vehicle, so you are warned before if there are some issues, or you can talk it through with the seller and so on. Or maybe you can see a report and everything is fine, and then you know, okay, like when everything is fine in the report, then you can be more sure to actually buy this used vehicle. So it's a very good service. I can only recommend it, and as I said, 20% off then with our Autogefühl discount code then for carVertical. The link is in the video description or in the pinned comment. And now we're continuing with our review here. Wheels 22 inch. These are the biggest ones, also in this golden scheme. I would like to hear your opinion. What do you think about this golden scheme in comparison to the white? And also painted wheel arches here then in high gloss black as a contrast. You have the typical SUV shape, and there will also be a coupe later on available. We can soon also show that to you. And important to say that the rear is pretty much different to the combustion engine type, and I mean, it's a very spectacular design. Also the light strip goes all the way through, illuminated Porsche lettering there, black turbo badge then. However, the looks from the turbo and the normal base version is rather decided here with this gap, and there are these active aero blades, and they come out, for example, in case of a launch control. Yeah, we already showed you like a preview of that in the very beginning of the video. Extremely spectacular. This is also a technology-based vehicle. And first of all, as for the suspension technology, air suspension is standard, and optional the Porsche Active Ride. We also have it equipped here, and we will test it how it is driving like with it. Then if you deactivate some features, and then also when you take a car that does not have it. So the base version does not have it. The S model and the turbo model, they both have it optional actually. And the logic here is as follows: 2.5 seconds acceleration figure for the turbo. Then we are at 3.8 seconds for the S model. It's also newly introduced, and 4.8 seconds in the acceleration figure for the base model. And the Porsche Active Ride has basically a hydraulic pump at each wheel, and then it can counter move these movements of the car. So like the car is leaning to the side, and the Porsche Active Ride says on this pump, hey, go up here, and the same goes like back and forth. You brake and then you would dip in, but then it corrects the car again. And that's why the car is always staying upright. And we also talk about this with Leah, how she feels as a passenger with this active drive features on Active Ride, Porsche Active Ride it is. Sometimes you just say active drive, right? I mean, also comes close, doesn't it? And also rear axle steering, where the rear wheels can turn up in the opposite direction than the front wheels. So all the technology packed in this vehicle. Has a battery of 108 kilowatt hours net, and you can very quickly recharge it. But interestingly here, electric charging flap opens like this. This is the passenger side with AC charging, 11 or optional 22 kilowatt. And the funny thing is that on the other side, there's the main charging flap, but it's cool to have it on both sides, because sometimes you are at a AC charging station and you maybe can park only like this or like this. And this is the main flap, and it first closes now on the other side, and yeah, there we go. It had to close on the other side, then it opens here, and then here the DC is 400 kilowatt in the peak. And of course you need the suitable charging station, and we could do a test already and did 10 to 80% in under 15 minutes. That's of course extremely quick with this 800 volt charging architecture. So yeah, you can easily recharge this car in a very, very, very quick way. That's of course a pretty cool thing. Battery should be big enough. We will of course at the end of our test tell you the real world consumption when we do some just straight motorway driving, 1 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour, and then we can also compare it to other competitors. Because one thing is for certain, also when we talk about the prices later on, especially for the turbo here, because it is very expensive. In the electric segment, Porsche does not profit from this brand halo and the, hey, we can sell cars at whatever price anyway. In this electric segment, prices are more competitive and people are switching more between segments and between brands. So the Cayenne Electric will also be compared to other cars that are maybe a little bit smaller. For example, the direct competitor of this one would be an BMW iX5, which is not out yet. Will probably come at a later stage. But now people are also comparing to a BMW iX3 or to a Mercedes GLC EQ and so on, although they are 20 to 30 centimeters shorter, yeah, about 20 centimeters shorter. So, and then the question is, of course, at the end of the review, can Porsche still justify extreme high prices also for this very segment? This is also a very important question to ask. And because in our survey 45% also want to see the base version, 55% voted for the turbo. Here is also the base version in Algarve Blue. Earlier we already showed you as a comparison Madeira Gold base version. Here indeed the difference is this would be larger and high gloss black in the turbo. Here it's not high gloss black and a little bit smaller. This one does also have the HD matrix, by the way, and you can get them here also with this glacier blue accentuations. So you can get the HD matrix light in normal with the glacier blue accentuations and also with darkened or like a tinting, which we saw, for example, then in the turbo model. This one here, the Algarve Blue, as I said. And we have, yeah, this is striking contrast here, the golden wheels also with these aero inserts. And As for the wheel sizes, this is, by the way, it's can't say that by heart. You can also check it in the video description or the pinned comment. So because when you go for 20-inch wheels, they are also smaller. So 20-inch wheels will be the most aerodynamic choice and also the best choice as for the efficiency. So 20-inch wheels will have in the front 255 mil and the rear 305. 21-inch will have here, like we see also here, 275 mil in the front and 315 in the rear. And here the 22-inch wheels have the same width, unless you go for the performance tires, and then you have 285 in the front and 325 in the rear. So once again, the logic is, as for the width, 20, 21 and 22, or optional the 22, even the widest ones. So yeah, that's always taking into the consideration. So the first consumption test today we do with the turbo with the worst possible wheels. That's also very interesting. And these here are the second worst possible wheels, so to speak. 22, but not the performance option. And here in the rear, the base version, is just a little bit different because we don't have the aero flaps right here, like we've seen in the turbo. And this one also has, I mean, you have to like that, these glacier blue inserts in the rear. But as I said, you do not have to take them. It's just a thing you could possibly do. Classic Porsche key fob, very nice. And then here, classic door handles. And yeah, that's it. And why not, So we don't need the flush door handles. Just make it like this. And that's totally fine. It's also elegant, right? Then door closing sound. Solid. Also in the rear. But you can get optional here. Okay, now it closes itself. Here. There we go. Ta-da! Magic with the soft close. In German you would, by the way, say Zuziehhilfe, which is literally like closing help, something like that, yeah. But soft close also sounds cool, right? Then here, it's all the way covered. Then here's some deco element. This is like a carbon fiber you can actually feel, which is not like high gloss covered. Also beautiful here with this colored accentuations then for the window levers, and also nice clicking sounds they have. Hardback here on the inside, just a rubber ground in the lower part. Then turbo entry sill badge, and we also have the Turbo Night crest here on the steering wheel, which has also real turning jogs, for example for the volume and right side to control the digital instruments. And then here you can set in the driving modes and press it to get some extra more than 100 horsepower extra for 10 seconds with this push to pass button. Then seats, these are the sport seats. They are a little bit more accentuated right here in this area. But the comfort seat and the sport seats, they are not too different. You really have to know what you have here. It's just then the shoulder accentuation with a little bit more, but the sit bone area is more or less the same. And the comfort seat is also available with the Papita, like this retro fabric pattern, and that is pretty cool and the only animal-free solution. Then you would have also the steering wheel in microfiber. This is the one that I would go for. The fabric seat is also more comfortable and basically passively breathable and gives some more character to the car. And the microfiber steering wheel, the race tech steering wheel, is also pretty cool. Has here the electric control up and down, in and out. And here headroom to the side is 189, 6'2", and the beautiful microfiber headliner. I wish they would also maybe offer microfiber seats, because not everyone likes the fabric seats. I found them pretty cool, but worldwide they should also offer a high-grade leatherette as alternative, for example. They don't do that yet, sadly. And then here, this is a panoramic roof you can still open. And the special thing here about is that usually all the new electric vehicles, there you cannot open the panoramic roof. You can only use this digital shade, for example. And this one has both. You can open it and it still has this interesting digital shade where you then can make it more, like invisible and visible. So this is then both possible. Let's see, does this one also do something? No. This one, Yeah, you can also use like the half opening right there. The only thing it does not have, doesn't have like a fixed shade or something. The protection against the heat, it's already included in the glass basically. This doesn't change any you know, heat that comes in. This is more like a visual thing if you have it like this or this. Welcome here now to the cockpit of the all-new Cayenne Electric. The combustion engine cockpit is a little bit different. We were also showing that to you in our comparison episode. And then here the cockpit is defined, the most obvious thing here, the curved screen in the middle. And then on the right side is the passenger screen, where you can, for example, also show the speed, but this is an option. Base would be that you just have the black panel here. Yeah, and otherwise optional you have then the functional passenger screen in there, and then also digital instruments. And then you're supposed to put your hand here, for example, and then you can rest your hand or your hand palm here, yeah, like this. And then you can click the lower parts here, for example, and also control the manual volume jog and also the manual temperature dials. I love that also here then with the metal knurling on top of that. That's beautifully done. Seat heating and seat cooling are then in the lower part here, digital then next to it, but also easy to control, easy to reach. So the concept that you have this lower bar here and rest your palm here, that's actually quite good. That comes handy. It's easy to control. Also maybe like when the car is, you know, when you're driving and so on. That's good. Zoom out to this large middle console again. The curved screen, I mean, yes, I see the logic that you can control stuff here and then you can see other stuff in the top part. And it really depends. You know, so here, for example, you can see the top part in the map there, yes. And then here you can also control stuff. However, when you scroll through something, it of course looks a little bit weird, and especially when you are in menus. I mean, here once again I see the logic. You can control the menu, but you can still see the map while controlling the menu again. Okay, I get the idea. However, especially if you are here in a list like this, where you can also scroll something up and down. Let's see where, maybe here, where, yeah, there for example. Ooh, I mean, not sure how you can see it on camera, but especially like this movement, when it's in that area, you look at it and, I mean, sometimes when it's, especially this list, you see, whoa. It's really not pleasant to look at it. It just doesn't fit to the human eye, you know, so I get the idea of controlling things in the lower part and still being able to see on the top part. But especially when you control it really then and scroll through things, I think that's not a thing of getting used to it. It's just somehow pain to the eye to look at something that is moving in a curved area. You know what I mean? And it's different, like curved monitors at home. I love them. You know, I just use curved monitors at home, but the curving is not too extreme and it's really like in this wide format, and that also fits to our eye format here. But when things are rolling through here in this extreme curve, I think it's a little bit too much. Maybe it would have been better if the curve wasn't that pronounced, maybe a little bit less. Or what do you think about that? And then here, this large middle console here, yeah, could be a little bit softer for your elbow though. And okay, I see. So I mean, it's also extremely hard for your left elbow actually. I would have expected that you have like soft pads for your elbows when you want to drive like this in a relaxed way, but it's hard on the left side and hard on the right. And here I get with the elbow rather on this part, not actually on the supposed to be softer part. So for driving relaxed like this, it's nothing. Yeah, probably because I said, hey, Porsche drivers are racing all the time, so you take the proper racing position or something for the steering wheel. And then we can slide this one here backward, can slide this one here forward and have a huge middle console in the front here. Then here, inductive charging pad with this magnetic pad, so to speak. Yeah, I mean, but inductive charging still makes the phone always hot. So I'm more a fan of cable charging, but there are the two USB-C chargers. And then even more two USB-C chargers. So we have 4 USB-C chargers here. And then we have this lower drinking area, and we can put this also out completely, then you have a huge space as an alternative. And you can also see here this and this, you can turn it around and then put this one here in a little bit higher spec. They can easily reach the drinks, and if you want like tall bottles, then again you would put it lower. These are the new fabric insets of the cup holders. Some say if you spill something, then it's worse. Yes, but try not to spill anything. I think it's actually a great idea because on the one hand it's more adaptive, and on the other hand, here for example, when you say like, like some maybe for sunglasses, because yeah, the inside of the doors, they're not covered with fabric. And here I can, for example, put sunglasses in, and then they're like, that's such a great demonstration, isn't it? And they also don't fly around. So this makes actually the cup holders more flexible in a way that you can use it for different purposes and not only for drinks. So by then the concept looks maybe weird at first, but I actually like it because it has its advantages. So yeah, interesting new solution, but I wouldn't have imagined that one of the most unusual things in the new Cayenne Electric here is the different concept of the middle console and the cup holders, right? Very interesting. Then here, the glove box, also very smooth. It's actually can put some stuff there, why not? And also everything covered here on the dashboard, and the chronometer here, the analog stuff, then we still want it in the Cayenne, of course. One thing here with putting in the gears, park, drive, reverse. We know the shifting gear here with the brown shaver metal knurling, like zzz. Best greetings to my friends in the US as well. Recently got a comment there that this was like a very funny comment when I did this joke the first time in the, I think, 911 world premiere. But the thing is, it is not the one we originally know from the 911, because that one, when you put it down, it has more feedback down, like really like blam, more down, and gives you better feedback. This one is somehow worse from the feedback than before, and I'm not sure if you heard that. Did you hear that? It doesn't always do that, but click, it sometimes makes this high frequency noise, whereas the older one that went further, more like the clock, made this lower frequency noise, and that was just more classy. It's not a problem, you know, but we're talking about a super expensive vehicle here. And for example, I don't get this system like, if they had something before which was cool and appreciated by the customer, why make it not worse, but a little bit less good than before? You know what I mean? So just a detail I noticed here. And then let's take a look at the instruments. And here the driver POV, once again here with scrolling through, and you can use this favorite button, for example, also to deactivate this EU speed chime law thing. And then here, digital instruments, yes, they are sometimes blocked by the steering wheel a little bit, depending on the position. And you can also adjust like what you want to see there. So yeah, everything is possible, different visualizations and so on. And then you have a head-up display, which is extremely large. So large that you can even probably see it on camera. It sometimes disappears in a camera, but that's not for your own eye. I can tell you, like with your own eyes, this is like this large, but you cannot show it on camera. It's like the big box there for that one. One more time here with the chronometer. Just looks so beautiful when it is ticking through. And then here, the main infotainment unit, just to show that in detail again here, this is for the seat heating, seat cooling right there, so in the screen, but then luckily the fan speed and the temperature unit, just listen to that. Clack, clack, clack. Beautiful. I love that. And also in here for the volume jog. Yeah, and from this perspective here with the, that maybe makes sense again, you know, and you can always slide this down or up, for example, if you want to have it. Yeah, would be looking forward to your comments on that with the split view. That's okay, but as I said, as soon as you have something that is rolling through the screen, then it might be a problem. Yeah, but the visualization itself and the speed of the system is actually fine. So that's totally okay. You can individualize all the stuff. It's also here as for the driving modes, when you go through different driving modes. everything adjusts, also the air suspension and so on. I'm doing that here also with turning it left and right at the steering. And the Apple CarPlay and Auto integration might look strange at first, but here you can also slide this down and then you have the full integration here once again. And what's also pretty cool here, you can mirror your Waze maps from Apple CarPlay or Android Auto here in the digital instruments, also with Apple Maps in CarPlay, or if you use Android Auto, then you can also have the Google Maps in the instruments mirrored. Ta-da! There's Leah also for the day, my favorite part of the video. And what she actually discovered is when you have a high bottle in there, which is kind of tall, then the front part...
You can close the back part.
That works.
Yes, but not the front.
Yeah, the front part, that's too high. So the bottle cannot be too high for that, but this is a pretty...
Maybe it's the bottle.
It's a pretty tall bottle,
yes.
You know, so yeah, otherwise it would work, but that's also the lower position here of the cup holders. And talking about this cover here, when you have the seat heating activated, it's also this, this part is also heated.
Yeah, and this part here.
That feels pretty cool, and also the outside part, yeah, indeed. That's
relax like that.
it's even like the, yeah, this inside part.
Inside wall.
Yeah, and the only thing is, for Leah, it's fine as a passenger. She can, yeah, drive like this, or maybe then like this, and warm up her hands. She was filming outside in the cold.
It's only the elbow here.
Exactly. So me as a driver, I don't have anything for it because I cannot really touch it because I don't reach there anyway with my elbow, because my elbow is here.
But maybe when you charge.
Yes, while charging, then we do like yoga pose and then warm up. And the Bose sound system actually is cool. Also has like a surround system. It's really bass intensive from the bass setting. You know, bass, B-A-S-S, bass setting, B-A-S-E. That was cool, right? I just made it up. And I would say I would maybe even turn down the bass here because it's kind of too tough. I would also say it's really nice, the system, yes, but the Harman Kardon system or the Burmester sound system at this moment I like better, and also the Bowers & Wilkins in the Volvo, for example, or yeah, BMW sometimes also has it. Well, and now we switched over to a second car which has the Burmester sound system, and we put one of our favorite songs on, Gratitude, Gratitude from Above and Beyond. See, it brings tears to Leah's eyes because it's so crazy good. We can't put it like full volume here now because of the rights issue here on YouTube. Good. It's crazy. Yeah. Yeah. See, it's crazy. It's really crazy. So everyone who's buying this car, you know, save money with it. Don't get the turbo. I don't care. Just get the Burmester sound system here because it's also available here for the Porsche Cayenne. It's crazy, crazy good. I have goosebumps all over the place. Yeah. So when you put your favorite music with this one on, it's really crazy, crazy, crazy good. And one quick look here at the base interior, but I mean, it's the question just how you spec it actually. This is also all the way black now, where the Porsche crest here. This is also in the normal color, so to speak, but this one also has the sport seats. It's more the question of how you configure it, but the turbo versus base, you cannot really see it from the normal things. It's just about which seats you pick and interior and stuff. Now to the rear seats. First of all, here we can see how far do they go until here, and this is then also the laminated window here for the rear. It is an option and comes together in a pack with privacy glass and laminated front in the rear. And then we can also here move up these electric shades. It's always a cool feature for sure as well. Then inside of the doors also covered here, only hardback here in the back, and it's interesting, like the rubber pad, but it's like here is the rubber pad, like interesting form of the rear door pocket there. Yeah, about that. Then here the seats can also be controlled electrical. This will also help us in the trunk very soon to reach a cargo position, because here just have the lower position there, back and forth. And this then would also be part of the cargo position then. And middle part, you can fold on this. Cup holders not adaptive though, just different sizes basically. And well, the seating comfort here, what is actually good, that since it's an SUV, and although it's electric, the angle here is not too bad, you know. So your feet go relatively far down, so you don't have this strange inclination or angle you sometimes have with electric vehicles. So that's actually fine, and yeah, it's decent comfort also for the rear seats. And once again, beautiful microfiber headliner here all the way around. That's what I really like. And the large middle console here with physical dials also for the temperature unit. That's pretty cool. You even have seat heating and seat cooling here in this case for the rear seats, and 2 USB-C chargers. But of course, all these options are always very, very expensive. And you saw here that although you can use the middle seat, it's not the most comfortable one, but the outer parts also have this kind of sports seat feeling that they house you in and also keep you tighter a little bit. And ISOFIX on the outside each. And headroom here. To this side it's closed, and to the glass roof it's a little bit more than here with 1A9 6x2. Trunk or boot at 550 or 780 liters. Why is that? Let me show you. So there we go. And then we have the manual cover here on top. There are also rails left and right, but to get it up there is sometimes a little bit complicated, honestly. Then here we have a good 1.40 meters in width. This one also fits in vertically. And then here the length, it depends basically. Here the normal length is also about 1.40 meters, but here this is then the cargo position, which makes it to 780 liters. I made this one steeper then in the inclination and also longer, and then suddenly it's here at 1.15 meters or 45 inches. So this is a little bit more flexible then, and these rear seats are, as we have shown to you, electric. That also helps then in the trunk here. And then the height is here at 28 inches, 70 centimeters. Underneath there is still some space. Oh, look at that. Extra cushions for the head restraint. Interesting. Didn't know that. So some more space underneath, and you can even place this one here underneath. So there's extra storage, and goes a little bit deep in here that you can put the top cover underneath there. And even more interesting, as for electric seats here, we can push these seats forward electrically, and let's also see what here. Interesting. This one can directly fold. The other ones, oh, this. How did I do that? Did you see this synchronization? So because these seats had to go back further again, and yeah, I pressed it in the right moment actually. Yeah, I mean, some people are happy about certain things. But then here in the length is 1.80 meters or 72 inches. So yeah, large trunk, very well usable. What's that? Ah, look at that. This is a real power socket. Also good to have it, right? And then here we also have the automatic towing hook, and it is 3 tons as for towing capacity. And if you go for the off-road package, it can even be 3.5 tons. This has some regulatory reasons because, you know, of the approaching and descending angles with the off-road package. So either 3 or 3.5 tons. Launch control. Oh. Whew. Oh.
I think my body is gone now.
Gotta digest that.
Oh my god, out of my body now.
As your soul is leaving your body when you do that. Yeah, and we might as well drive some corners because we not only have that launch control there, we also have the air suspension now set on the sporty note here in Sport Plus mode, and we also have the Porsche Active Ride, and that keeps the car upright. And also when you're like really in tight cornering here, nothing happens because the car just stays upright. This is the thing with the Active. I mean, you would expect the car to lean a little bit to the side, and the Active Ride with these hydraulic pumps, they work basically against it, and yeah, then nothing happens. And it's really crazy because everything in this car feels just different in the speed, you know. So here at the moment I'm driving 50 kilometers an hour, and
Feels like 5.
yeah, it's like standing still, you know. It's nothing, you know. And also when I go back to the normal mode, then have less from this, you know, electric special sound and so on. But the car would still stay upright, you know.
I feel it's a little bit dangerous, really.
Yeah, this car is dangerously quick. It has reached a level.
Please be safe when you drive it.
Exactly.
Please,
So everyone who's buying this, good point from Leah. No matter, so really, if you're buying this, I mean, already the base one is quick, but if you're buying the Cayenne Electric, the turbo, you have to be careful. Don't use the car to its full potential. You can only do that on a closed circuit. So if you're using this one to the full potential, it is straight dangerous because it's too capable. It has too much performance. Definitely, you know, it's just too much. It's incredible. It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Like your body cannot cope with what the vehicle is able to do. So here now, some more.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah. I mean, you
It's
still
so effortless. Yeah.
totally effortless. Yeah. I mean, it's almost the car. I would say drives.
Narrow lanes ahead.
Oh, caution, narrow lanes ahead. I would say the car is not driving realistic. It doesn't feel like we would be in actual real world, you know. That happens to the what the hell?
Wow.
That was normal. This normal mode here. Let's now put it to Sport Plus again. See how it performs. There's also more recuperation that you feel that you would have more engine brake, you know, like in the combustion engine. Oh, there's the stop sign. The race control. Ah, there we go. The race is opened. Gracias. Hasta luego. There we go. So, and now they're securing near the, probably got some landslides here or something like that. So now soon in a tunnel. Now we can't test the sound there because it won't make a difference. So now in the Sport Plus mode, there's more amplifying from the sound. You could also deactivate it if you like. I mean, you can drive these corners here so fast.
Wow.
It's crazy. I mean, it is still a large SUV. You don't feel it's crazy. This is absolutely crazy. I'm looking forward to how it will be later on when you don't have the active drive, active ride. I can't believe how the car is cornering that well. I mean, you still feel it's a heavy vehicle and it's an SUV, so low seating sports car would handle that differently. But due to the suspension technology, they try to even out that weight effect as much as possible. And like Leah said, it's effortless. It feels more like you're maybe like some Need for Speed or Gran Turismo game, and you're in a simulator. But right, I mean, it is really like driving a car in a simulator, but it's actually not.
Yeah.
That I really can't describe it. I mean, that's, and I think this is the stronger effect here, because with a heavy SUV, you would expect something else, you know, but wow. Also, when you accelerate out, for example, insane. Yeah, I mean, the driving capability of this vehicle is totally off the charts. So you can actually only use that really on the racetrack. I mean, when you're driving normal roads, this is here a good use case that you can you know, enjoy it really much. But normal road driving is almost impossible not to speed with this vehicle, and that's why, again, be careful, obey the speed limits, because it's so easily, you know, that you drive faster than allowed because you don't feel it, you know. As I said here, driving 50 kilometers an hour is like standing still. It's nothing. And for like 150, it's like, oh, are we already driving? Yeah, absolutely crazy. And the cornering capability is just beyond anything you would imagine for an SUV of this weight and an SUV at that size. Very precise steering, as we know from Porsche as well. And you can drive it in Sport Plus, but also in the normal mode, it will perform very well as too. Then recuperation is done, of course, with the brake pedal, but you don't feel it would be only the recuperation and not the friction brakes, because there's a seamless transition if you would need them, for example, and it feels very natural. Accelerating out of the corners feels very sporty, and the rear electric motor is the stronger one. I also feel that when accelerating out, the front one is only engaged if it's really needed. And that's why you also get this typical Porsche character when you drive out of the corners. So if you're skeptic with Porsche EVs, just driving wise, I mean, this you can actually say that it drives better than the Cayenne combustion engine. The only thing you could say against it from a Porsche standpoint is that it's of course not lightweight. So if you want a lightweight car for the racetrack, it's still like 780, you know. Yeah. Let's see what they do there with the electric one, because it's not, they're going back and forth if they want to do it now or not. Let's see about that. But you got to try to experience how well this works, and wow, just wow. Driving is really pleasure. How does Leah actually? I mean, the suspension is crazy and sportiness is also crazy, but it's still a heavy vehicle. And how do you feel?
I'm fine.
You're fine?
Yeah.
That's a good sign.
Yeah.
Because I was skeptic with that, because that might, give a
Feel
lot
the
of stress.
weight a little bit. I'm not that fine, but it's okay.
It's
Yeah,
okay.
It's
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's considering the
Just
sport you
having
drive.
fun for 20 minutes. I think for 1 hour it's too much.
So
yeah,
let's see also in the comfort mode, we can deactivate these Active Ride features. Let's see also how it does behave in here in the corners. Because in these little bit tighter corners, that might have an effect. Let's see about that.
Now I feel it, yeah.
Yeah, you feel difference now? So, I mean,
And you see it.
it's not that the car would lean much or something, but that now it's not
in
working.
my stomach.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it worse now?
Yeah, it's worse.
It's interesting. So you would say that here in the tight corners, the Porsche Active Ride helps you as a passenger?
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Yeah, I mean, it is logical because the movement of the car is then limited in these corners, and that's of course good then for passengers especially. So, yeah.
When you have a passenger, then maybe you need it.
Yeah, I mean, as a driver, I don't feel the difference that much. So I would say like that the car is now making a little bit more natural movement, yes. But interesting that it's obviously especially better for the passenger than to have this activated to keep the car straight, especially in these corners. Yeah, and in the normal modes, it is on anyways. And we will also do another test of that soon when we are on the motorway to compare that. And now some motorway driving it in comfort mode with all the Active Ride settings on at the moment. We'll also turn them off very soon then to compare. This is Leah, my personal navigation assistant.
To the left, to the right, please.
To the left. And to the right in this case then. So we'll also talk about like how comfortable it is on the motorway and noise installation, NVH and so on. Here getting on, and also here on the motorway you feel a lot from the Active Ride, because the car, also when you're here getting on the next motorway part, it's always staying upright, no matter if it's like pitch or tilt. It's like doesn't matter actually. And I'm also looking forward to Leah's reaction here when I turn it on and off as for that. But even if I make a quicker lane change, the car doesn't shake at all. It's kind of like a weird feeling, a little bit.
Weird, yeah.
Yeah, that it doesn't do that, because your brain expects the car to move in a certain way from what you know, but it just doesn't. That is
I don't know if my stomach is
yeah,
like
that's
that.
we have to see about that. Definitely, we have to see about that. So here now, 80 kilometers an hour. The asphalt here around Barcelona is often a little bit rough. We have the dual insulation as with the windows, so there's not that much wind noise and so on. But there is some rolling noise from the lower part. That is the thing. We have had that in a lot of Porsches. Sometimes they even say that they in a way make this intentional, that you feel more from the road. For example, the GTS models are usually less insulated. It's not a GTS model, the turbo model. So they have the same insulation than like the base model, and it depends on if you go for the acoustic pack. Well, there's a Panamera Turbo S, but the previous generation, well, you still could get the Sport Turismo. Yeah, that one was also looking over, like, oh, wait a minute, is that the new Cayenne? Yeah, it surely is. And we can also check out what the assistance systems do here. So adaptive cruise control. So let's see how the car is keeping me in the lane. So far, pretty smooth and very relaxed. So, I mean, contrary to how we started, you can also drive this in a relaxed manner. So it is actually possible. So yeah, you might wonder, you know, but still, 22-inch wheels here, and the suspension, although it's an air suspension plus the anti-tilt control, it's not that we have like this super soft floaty ride. You know, it is still stiff and sporty as you might expect from Porsche, actually. You know? So, and I think that's also fine. That's what the Porsche customers also expect, but just that you get an impression that it's not this soft, floaty air suspension ride. If you would not know that it's an air suspension, you maybe wouldn't really guess, you know, because it's, you know, rather stiff. And with this additional hydraulic technology, that's yeah, it's very complicated to do this technology. It does work. The question is, do you really need that? We can also try here on the motorway to, yeah, and that's always the thing, how we get there actually. There we go. And only in the comfort mode we can control the pitch control and the tilt control and the pitch control. So there we go. Now I've deactivated that. Let's see how that one feels now when I do a lane change here on the motorway. So here we go. Did it feel different?
Maybe a little
Not
bit, but
too
not
much,
too
right?
much.
So here when I'm, for example, on the brake, that was being on the brake. Now I activate both again. So let's see. When I'm on the brake again for the pitch. Yeah. Did you feel that? No? well, I actually did.
Okay.
Maybe because I know in the moment I'm on the brake, it almost felt when I'm.
You see it.
It's crazy,
Yeah,
right?
I see that.
Like when I'm on the brake, it almost feels like the car would be lifting up in the front, and that's exactly what it does. You know, it counterbalances the dipping in, and when I'm here doing a lane change again, this now with activated. Now we deactivate both again. Let's change back. So I like the tilting left-right. I don't feel too much of a difference because even when it's deactivated, it's staying upright. Just like this diving in, there's maybe a little bit more difference. But yeah, even if you leave that out, even without these optional features, the car is always staying level. And in the other driving modes like normal, sport, and so on, you cannot deactivate it anyway. You know, so and then also it switches with the air suspension. That's, for example, going lower in the sport mode and so on. Yeah, but very interesting to experience this technology in action, definitely. Let's check out here when we drive a little bit faster now from the assistance systems. If we keep in the lane in a very smooth way. Blind spot monitor here, side mirrors, we have these 3 dots, that's also pretty helpful. And here also fine commands from the steering, so it's not nervous corrections and so on. Yeah, so this is also at a very, very high level. So now automatic lane change. Look at that. Yeah, flawless. So very good performance also from all the assistance systems. Let's start driving the base model right now and we head on to the motorway. Let's check out if 4.8 seconds are enough, so to speak, or if they maybe underestimate the figure. And also this one without the Porsche Active Ride. So let's see then how that one works. Sport Plus, and we start from, we can actually start from 30 or something. Let's start from 30 kilometers now. It's a safe entry to the motorway. Let's go. A little bit uphill, let's go. 100 and 120. I mean, that was slightly uphill and it was nice, it was quick. The Lear meter didn't go off, but Leah's brain
I'm
didn't
fine
leave the
now,
yeah.
My brain is inside. Not
Exactly.
outside.
Leah's brain didn't leave her body, so that's totally fine. And maybe if you want that extreme punch, then take the S version. But I really have to say that the turbo is so extreme in the acceleration that it's really hard to sustain it for the human body. So this is actually fine. And here even that, let's go here like again 120, like 100 to 120. Well, that's it. And that's more than quick enough, you know. And I can see like Leah is staying calm with that one. That's actually a good sign because yeah, it would just be too much. You do feel a difference here to the Active Ride immediately, basically. So it is still a stiff air suspension in comparison. We can also go to the comfort mode and it's a little bit softer. But the car is somehow...
And suspension is better here.
Yeah,
Really,
it's more natural.
More natural and comfy. You feel one with the car. And the other one was too much.
Yeah, I think also with the Porsche Active Ride, it's impressive as for the technology, and it's the craziest ride you could possibly have. But this one definitely feels more aligned with the car somehow, you know. So yeah, I think I would actually go without because it's still the car is not leaning much because even in the comfort mode the air suspension is here. When you do like a very quick lane change, it's not leaning at all. No. Not at all. So and
it's straight. Yeah.
It's still straight. But I think with the Porsche Active Ride, it just makes these somehow very artificial moves with these hydraulic pumps. That it's again super impressive for what it can do. But I would say it's more likable in driving feeling like this. It feels somehow smoother. So I really like the base model here. Everything is just more aligned. You feel, yeah, this is interesting that even Leah as a passenger says that you feel more one with the car here. And now about efficiency, real world range, and also the price. And yeah, like the final verdict as well, which version I would go for and would I maybe consider some of the competitors. Very, very interesting. So as for the efficiency, we did, because like when you do the sporty driving back and forth, you cannot really compare it, but like this 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour, like, you know, usual country motorway speed, not exactly Germany. You can score some 23 kilowatt hours in 1 kilometers, so 2.7 miles per kilowatt hour, similar to what we've recently scored with the Mercedes GLC EQ. This one here has a CD value of 0.25, so a little bit worse than the BMW iX3. A little bit depends on the version and the wheel size, you know. Would be the same like the iX3 if you go for the largest wheels with the iX3. But here 0.25 is also just the best case, you know. It also always depends when you go for the larger wheels here, it's, you know, it always has an effect as well. So best is to go with the smaller wheels always. Then the GLC EQ had a similar consumption like this one here. So with this battery here, the final real world range at this like constant motorway speed would be 470 kilometers or 290 miles. And then of course people start thinking because the BMW iX3 has the same battery size, it's a little bit shorter car, but also drives phenomenally and is of course cheaper in the price, but will have at least the same and of course rather a longer range, you know. Same battery, but a little bit more efficient means then higher range for the iX3. And people will decide also between these two vehicles. Porsche cannot save themselves anymore and say like, yeah, wait a minute, you don't compare any other brand with Porsche. That's not happening. People are comparing the prices between even sometimes the segments and between different brands, especially in the electric segment where it's all about like, how far can I actually comfortably drive with this vehicle? What's clear is that one is here the king in charging because it's so quick in the recharging, definitely. As for the pricing, the base model would start just over 100,000 euros, so 105,000 euros is, for example, the German price. Then 125,000 euros, 126,000 euros for the S model. And the turbo electric here starts at 165,000 euros. However, when you now spec it here, like the panoramic roof, 5,000 euros extra, the ceramic brakes, 10,000 euros extra, Porsche Active Ride, 8,000 euros extra. The car, as it stands right now, you wouldn't believe it, is 216,000 euros. And that is just totally off the charts, like the acceleration. It's just incredibly overpriced. It is a crazy car, a crazy SUV. It like accelerates like nothing else there, yes, so it doesn't have a comparison in that respect, but it's really more than the human body can handle, and you need to be careful when driving this car. And I don't think still that the price can be justified in any way, because you can almost buy 3 BMW iX3 for a price of this here, and this is not justified at all. And this is of course a problem for Porsche. It's no problem that they still build amazing cars, that's not the thing. But in today's world with so much competition, they cannot justify selling the cars at this price point anymore. Some will go for it, and say like, hey, I don't care, I want this acceleration maybe, and I think it's still cool. And it's an amazing vehicle. But the amount of people that are willing to pay double or triple the price just because of the Porsche badge is getting lower and lower. Gotta say that out loud for once as well. Still, it is an amazing car. It is driving like no other SUV before, basically. It can feel a little bit artificial because there's so much technology in this vehicle, and that's why, me personally, I would also just go for the base version, and then also pick the like the vegan interior package with the fabric seats. The fabric seats are more comfortable, more breathable, and the base version does feel more natural in driving. This is here like a computer game, the Turbo, and especially if you spec it with the Active Ride, it is totally off the charts in every single respect. And maybe you want this extreme feeling, then you can still go for it. But for everyone who wants a more natural feeling and more, let's say, a more usable everyday car, and I mean, even 4.8 seconds is more than quick enough, that's totally sure. Yeah, so this is really an extreme electric SUV. That's what Porsche has done right here. Tell me in the comments if you liked our insight here today. And now it's time to compare some competitors like the, let's say, more relaxed and maybe like more silent, so to speak, and smooth Mercedes GLC EQ, or the BMW iX3, which seems to be like on top of its game at this moment. A little bit smaller, but still, these are to compare here at this moment.